Welcome to Here for the Experience. A little bit different this time. I'm normally producing behind the camera, and now I'm sitting in front of it. It's pretty different. We got a lot going on today. We're going to be talking about some good philosophy that we've come across over the years from our life experiences, and we're going to talk about some cool things happening, like you got a pretty cool business venture coming up that's going to be pretty interesting. Kind of combines a lot of your passions together.
Yeah, it does.
So we're going to talk about that and then give everybody a little taste of what's coming up also. There's actually this Gandhi quote that I know you and I had talked about a little bit this week, and it goes something like this. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. And I feel like it's a really deep quote because I think a lot of people struggle with like finding happiness,
Yeah,
or they put their meaning of happiness behind a lot of different things that will never fulfill
yeah,
that desire,
yeah.
because it's not where you find it. What have you really been thinking as far as that quote goes?
When you mentioned that, I've read some of Gandhi, and I haven't read enough to remember specifically, but I know generally his philosophy. But that quote there, I thought was pretty powerful, and I tried to look at it like, is that absolutely true? Because that's some of the things I start
Mm-hmm.
critiquing when somebody says they put a statement forth. What he exactly meant, I don't really know, but happiness could also be synonymous with peaceful. It
Mm-hmm.
could be synonymous because when you have like what you do, what you say, and what you think, when that's all like as the quote says in harmony or synced,
Mm-hmm.
um, then I think that person is really in tune with themselves,
Mm.
and they're operating on a level where they're not really encountering anything too outside themselves that they can't address, and it's like just kind of like on cruise control. Life is probably on cruise control for a person like that because um, their own internal chaos is not chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
Their own internal mechanisms are all synced together, and I think people struggle daily in life because those aren't synced.
Mm.
Like, they might be thinking one thing, they might be telling somebody else a whole other thing, and their actions are doing something else. And
Mm.
so it looks like chaos, and it is. It is chaos.
It is.
So they're operating right from the get go, right out the gate, from a,
Mm-hmm.
a level of chaos, right? So, they come home, dogs barking, kids yelling, got a list of things to do. It's not a criticism because it is pretty much just general life experiences for people, but
Right.
it's really great if people can like become aware of that. And nobody, or I shouldn't say nobody, a lot of people aren't going to read a quote like that, quit living their lives, go be a monk somewhere,
Mm.
and has some really profound things to say. But he dedicated his life to understanding the things that just for most people goes right over their head
Mm.
because they don't, for whatever reason, either don't take the time or haven't been made aware that those things, although they don't might not sound exciting like to wrap your mind around, they actually do bring a whole lot of different value and perspective to your life if you can,
Yeah.
find a way to incorporate. And I'm not talking about like Hindu religion specifically. I'm just talking about some kind of higher spiritual principles or spiritual values, whatever that might be for this person or that person. But we get caught up in the go 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 of life
Mm.
so often that we're basically just managing putting out fires. We're just managing
Yeah.
the chaos. I do like that quote. So it could mean happiness for somebody. I mean, I don't know for sure. We as human beings have so many similarities in the common human condition and experience that there'll be a lot of similarities that overlay everybody's personal experiences. There's a lot of similarities. It kind of makes us human. It puts us in the same box, so to speak.
Right.
But on a real individual level, our perspective is limited. We see the world through our own eyes. So that's where it kind of starts to separate a little bit. And so what might be happiness for me might not be necessarily happiness for you
Okay.
in the total definition of the word.
Of the word happiness.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's probably things that approximate happiness. Like peacefulness, bliss. I don't know, just being calm, having a calm mind. That could be really, really high up on the list for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do like the quote. He was definitely on another level for sure.
Like you and I were talking about the other day, people can put what you think with happiness and what you say with happiness and what you do with happiness. But it really is a whole nother level when you put them all together. He had to have been on a higher level. It always does start with the mind. It starts with what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And you guys talked about last week, chasing material things in the world and how they really don't have any real value to the personal self. The thing is, a lot of people miss the opportunities that are presented to them in their life to really explore their mind, really explore their self mentally, to think about not just the experience they're going through in that moment, but explore the way that you think. You have to really think about yourself. And a lot of people miss that opportunity to really explore their self in thought and in all the different ways
Sure.
of who they are. And then what you say, the tongue, the Bible talks about the tongue being like a double-edged sword. It has the power to build people up. It has the power to tear people down. The tongue is a powerful tool, but also it has a lot to do with forming who you are, believe it or not.
It absolutely does. So I know you've heard of David Goggins, and
Yeah.
I love that dude.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, right. So I caught a little clip of a podcast he was on with Joe Rogan, and
A lot of clips from that.
lot of clips from that. And I mean, I can watch him all day. I don't because I got too many other things to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I could watch that guy. His philosophy really speaks to me in a lot of ways. But anyway, one of the things that he said is one of the most important conversations, one of the most important people that you'll ever have a conversation with is with yourself.
Mm.
And I think I kind of knew that, but I don't think I ever really heard it said out loud. Because our self-talk, our conversations with our inner self, super, super important. You just said it, because our world starts from the inside and out. So our world, when we wake up in the morning or whatever we're doing during the day, we have these internal thoughts. And so everything is formed internally. And then whether we project that outside of ourselves or whatever, that comes forth from us. It all starts with us.
Right.
Whether it's positive or negative so it really does start, with you about everything.
Yeah.
And I don't think people take stock of that. A lot of it's just kind of automatic, so they probably think it's not a big deal. It's just the subconscious and everything's kind of on autopilot.
Well, it goes back to not taking the opportunity when everybody's presented with life circumstances that will challenge you.
Absolutely.
Everybody's presented with life circumstances that, regardless of how severe they may be for one and not for the other, everybody goes through something, and actually many things at some point,
Yep.
that will challenge them to explore themselves.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you said. It all starts with what you think. And then when you go to what you say, what you say can form who you are. When you're speaking something, you're planting a seed inside of yourself. And that seed, when it takes root, will grow.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you continue, like it's one thing, you don't want to speak a certain way or you don't want to think a certain way and you fix it. But then there's another thing when you continually speak a certain way and say certain things, because each time you do that, it's planting a seed inside, and that seed will take root and grow, and then you become what that seed is. That's the way I feel that it can really change who you are.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to that because the pen is mightier than the sword. That that old expression. And a
Yeah,
pen is
I
an
like
instrument
that.
of writing, of speaking, is an instrument of speech.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be pretty powerful, and it can shape our destiny. It can, start building a path in front of us that we'll end up walking down. And so it's really important that we end up building that path correctly, or at least positively.
Yes.
I'm a firm believer in that because, man, it doesn't take much to get thrown off. It doesn't take much to have a misstep here.
Mm-hmm.
Again, no criticism. It's the human experience that
Yeah.
we're going to make mistakes and get tripped up every now and then, or have something come at us that, like you say, challenges us. It's just life. But the more aware that we are of ourselves and how things happen or can happen, the the better equipped we are to cope with those things when they come. So I love it. Just bringing awareness to that and sharing that with people. Hopefully, it helps them. In this fast-paced world, this fast-paced life we live in.
Yeah.
I know people. They get caught up just trying to manage everything in daily lives, but man, it really pays off if a person can just spend a little personal time with themselves
Yep.
and and think about
Figuring
some
out
things.
who they are, and then
Yeah,
uh, forming thoughts that reflect that.
yeah,
And then in turn, if you're already thinking a certain way, your your speech, what you say, will reflect that, and
yeah,
then also what you do
yeah,
will reflect that
yeah,
afterwards. And that's the last part of that quote is, what you do.
yeah.
Um, what you do is all about what you say and think.
I think so. I think it's the last phase of that whole trio, of that
Yeah.
whole
And
three-part combination.
when they're in harmony, and we both know this, not that we don't ever fail, but
Yeah,
we both know this, but when what you say, what you think, and what you do are in harmony, as we've learned from experience, you can be truly happy regardless of what you have
yeah,
in life, regardless of where you are in life, regardless of what you've been through
yeah,
in life. You can be happy. People ask us all the time, I'm sure they ask you, but they ask me all the time, you sure do keep a positive attitude after everything that's happened in your life. And I just, I've even thought about it sometimes like, man, how am I able to stay happy,
yeah.
or be happy or be positive, after things that have happened or situations that I've been in or challenges that I've been through.
Sure.
And it really is all about finding yourself,
Yeah.
searching yourself, having that time and utilizing the time correctly
Mm-hmm.
to search yourself, to explore yourself, to find out who you really are. And that's how you do it. And once you find who you really are, you can be happy regardless of any of that.
I think so too. For me, I guess I don't really chase happiness per
Mm.
se. Like some people are like their goal in life is like, maybe, well, I just want to find happiness, or I just want to be happy. Well, I mean, yeah, who doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even have happiness on my list of things that I chase or,
Mm.
try to go after. Um, because one, I don't think it's really a realistic thing to really even like seek after like a continual state of happiness. I already know that's not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, first off, right there, I'm, but it'll come in waves. Life is, cyclical. Life cycles. Things come and go and come and go and come and go. So I know happiness will come around here and there. I don't really get, too distracted by focusing on that. I try to focus on enjoying the moment.
Mm.
Obviously, I have plans, so I look forward to or anticipate things coming my way or that I would like to have come my way, and so I know that's going to bring me some joy or maybe some happiness here and there. I also know because I'm not naive and I've learned that all the good stuff that comes my way, it's not going to be all good. So there's going to be some other things that come my way that with it, most likely that aren't fun, aren't happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really get hung up on that either. That's probably why you don't really get sidetracked with not having positive feelings or feelings of happiness, because life is a mixed bag. And I think, uh, I think a really responsible approach to life is just accepting that. Like when you accept that, you know, life's not going to be a candy cane forest with unicorns and rainbows, then you take a more mature approach to life, and you just understand that there's going to be some things that come your way. And really, if you want to get really philosophical, how do you know they're bad? Like we make judgments about, well, this is good and this is bad, and we predicate those judgments based on, I like this and I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Or society says this is good and this is bad.
right. But those a lot of times are inaccurate
Mm-hmm.
and misguided, because I I can't count how many bad things that, or what I would call bad things, or what someone else would call bad things that happened in my life that had such great outcomes.
Hmm.
So was it really bad, or did I just not like it? You know, when I'm sick, do I want to take cough syrup? No. Does it taste good? No. Does it help? Yeah.
Right.
So
I think that goes back to what you said a minute ago, that happiness is different for different people.
yeah,
Because it sounds like everything you're describing right now is my version of happiness.
yeah,
Like, I know you said you don't chase happiness.
right,
Well, that may be true, but because of what you think, what you say, and what you do, because of everything you're describing, I think that you are happy. Because it's not, I don't think happy is like you're like all the time walking through life.
yeah,
Happiness to me is realizing that you're going to have lots of different things coming at you in life, and you're able to be square. You're able to be content with yourself. You're able to be ready
yeah,
and to just explore every experience that comes your way. You're not scared of it. You're not afraid of it. You're not that those feelings might not come up here and there,
sure,
but at the end of the day, you tackle it
yeah,
and you're ready for it because of what you've built inside of yourself. I think that you've built a happiness inside of yourself.
uh, I I think I would agree with that. I mean, I guess I just haven't.
If you don't,
Well,
let us know.
no, I think I agree with you. Like you know, like we said,
That's my interpretation of it.
no, that's great. That's probably pretty accurate. I just hadn't really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm processing it, you know, in the moment right now.
Right.
But I think that's probably a pretty good description. You know, I don't chase happiness, you know, by that definition, I guess.
Right.
But I guess I have tried to build my life in a way that happiness is going to be present
At all times.
at all
no matter
times, or
what.
at least a lot of the
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
Yeah. There's things that don't make us happy,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that our spirit isn't happy.
Right.
So we talked a little bit earlier about Primal Fitness, and Primal Fitness Evolution is the
Yeah.
full name. Why don't you just go ahead and tell everybody what that's about? I feel like it's going to be a cool experience. It's like it represents a lot of your passions. So.
Sure. So I'm going to try not to give it away too much, you know, but Primal Fitness Evolution, basically we're going to talk about next week. We'll talk about, or I'll get into a little bit more about what Primal Fitness Evolution is. So it's something that that I thought about when I was traveling, and I was out, you know, camping out and spending time out west, the western part of the country, and I just noticed there was a lot of people that had a lot of passion to be outside, you know, spending time outdoors, basically, hiking, you know, and rucking and taking in the scenery, but also kind of getting a little bit of exercise or fitness in. You know my background. I've worked out almost my whole life, but it's always been gym oriented. You know, going to the gym and getting a workout in with weights and, you know, maybe a treadmill or, you know, elliptical machine or just whatever. Everything that a gym, you would think a gym has. That's the setting that I've, you know, been accustomed to training in most of my life. Now, I've had some pretty primal workouts. I can remember one time using a forklift axle and some wheels for a bench press and, you know, deadlift. So, you know, I've gone outside the you
That's
know,
pretty outside.
yeah, outside
I've
of,
never even heard of
the
that.
norm a little
Yeah.
bit here and there, but because that's just all I had at the time.
Right.
But being out there, I saw people really getting into it. So Primal Fitness Evolution is going to, I think, bring some method to the outside environment for people that want to enjoy the environment. They want to be out there, obviously. So what I would like to do is provide that experience for people that want to go out there, not only just hike and rug, but I want to take people through some workouts, some training, maybe some whitewater rafting, maybe some skydiving, working out with some rocks, some logs.
How long would you say each one's going to be? Maybe like a week long? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
so
talking about?
basically so what it is like a fitness camp,
Okay.
and probably a week. We might be able to extend that.
This is all in the works.
It's all in the works. But
It's happening soon.
it's happening soon. A week's the model. I think typically, just because people probably don't have more time than a week
Right. That seems like kind of
available
the max.
to go, do this. But, there'll be lots of things to offer. So
What
maybe,
about like sleeping? How are you guys going to do that? Are you going to tent
well,
out?
you're going to tent it up.
Or are you guys going to go to a hotel for the night?
Well, they have fitness camps that are like kind of like spa
Yeah.
oriented.
But that's
And
not what Primal's.
I think if people want to do that, that's fine. But if you want to get in touch with nature, I mean, if you really want to live in it, if you want to live in your training environment, I'm more towards camping it.
That's what you're going to offer.
That's what I'm going to offer, and honestly, it's not a bad thing for people to. I know sometimes it might sound like I don't want to do that, but it really is a cool experience. And I think if people give themselves a chance, to get out into it, they'll be like, oh, this ain't bad.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Those preconceived notions of good and bad. Is like, don't be intimidated by a little bit of discomfort, because you'll actually probably be surprised that it's not really all that discomfort.
So what would you say? Obviously, time will probably be the biggest thing for some people, but anybody can find time. What would you say to somebody that doesn't necessarily like camping? They've camped out before, and they can't really wrap their mind around the idea of doing it one night, let alone for a week.
Well, I guess I would just dig more into that. If a person has been camping and they haven't really liked it, then maybe they just haven't had the right experience. I know that. So I'll give you a perfect example. It's a little bit different, but it's similar. There's food that I grew up I didn't like, and now I like it. There's this food I didn't have a taste for growing up. Like, I hated broccoli growing up. I love it now. So our tastes can change with perspective and time. So if somebody went camping 10 years ago and they had a horrible experience, or maybe it wasn't horrible, maybe they just didn't like it or care for it, well, that doesn't really tell me the whole story. Why did you not like it? Was it who you camped with? Was it where you camped? Was it the experience you had while you were camping? Because I'm going to give you an experience while you're camping that's you're not going to forget.
My back hurt when I woke up.
Yeah. Well, I think people will be surprised. Obviously they're going to have to give it a chance to find out, but I think they're going to be surprised in a good way, because the camping is just one little tiny aspect of it. The larger aspect of it is they're going to learn, to adapt, overcome a little bit.
I think what I like about it is they're going to be able to connect with nature,
Connect with nature.
and they're going to be able to connect with themselves.
I think so too. I love being out in nature, and it's just always been since I've been able to get out in it and really spend time there. It's always pleasant for me, pleasant experience. And I think, number one, the people that, I guess the demographic that this will probably speak to are the people that like being outside in nature anyway. So, if somebody doesn't like to camp and they're in their house all the time anyway, it probably, it may not be for them. It doesn't mean they can't try it. Anybody's more than welcome, but it just might not be something they want to do. But I think the people that are already kind of like already halfway there, they're already spending time, trying to be in nature and do things. All I'm going to do is just give them more variety and time to, like you said, connect with nature themselves and the exercise, which, has the potential, if they take some of those habits back with them, has the potential to give them a higher quality of life
Yeah.
going forward. And that's really the main goal, really, whether you pay for a gym membership or
Right.
work at home or you go for a walk or whatever. That's really why you're doing it, or at least I think that's why you should be doing it.
And I know the primary focus is to talk more in detail next week on this, after you talk about your story a little bit. But one last thing I kind of wanted to touch on was there will be different difficulty levels in
Yes.
this. It's not just going to be 1 week Navy SEAL training,
Yeah, it's not
David Goggins style.
right. So is whatever it might sound like to people that are hearing this for the first time, it's yes, there's going to be an element of
Challenge.
pushing people. Yeah, an element of challenge to pushing people, to go beyond where they probably aren't used to. But at the same time, it's reasonable. So fitness levels will be assessed. We'll assess somebody, through, and look at that and see, okay, well, what's your fitness experience? What's your health history look like? And
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and,
I like
and
that.
maybe a personality profile, and they might be a beginner fitness level. So the camp will be geared, that particular coach or whatever that's paired with people like that in that category will be geared towards kind of bringing them along, kind of an introductory into fitness, but it'll be expansive, meaning it's going to be a little bit more than what they would get probably anywhere else. And then if somebody has a little bit more experience, they'll be intermediate, maybe advanced, and then I'm thinking a Spartan category. If somebody really thinks that they, they're pretty well rounded, they're pretty tough, they can, go through a lot. Well, let's find out. I mean, maybe you are that guy, and those guys right there won't say no to the challenge. I know that mentality. I know that thinking.
Yeah.
So no doubt they'll probably say, yeah, hell yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
You know?
And there will be that element of competition too, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to be directly competing against each other, but there will be kind of that element.
Right. So that's another thing I'd like to, kind of introduce is, yeah, the camps for our individual growth and our individual, experience, which that's the primary focus, but also, we might be pairing up, in like 2-person teams and just having, a few, maybe a race, maybe some kind of training exercise that tests, but the two people where they have to kind of rely on each other, help each other, but at the same time they're competing against another pair or maybe 2 other pairs. And that's just a good team building spirit, tool. And it also teaches you to cooperate, with the skills and the exercise that you're learning. So it's for fun, but it also has some positive, or can have some positive effects. So
Yeah.
that's what we're looking at. I think that's going to be, kind of a bonus for people if they
For sure. Yeah.
choose to do that, something like this. And so on the episodes coming up,
Yeah.
we want to talk about finding that inner grit,
Yeah.
that
So,
substance that gives us that drive
Yeah.
to chase something and accomplish something in life.
Yeah. And it's kind of the last thing that we're going to touch on today, but, we have a pretty cool series coming up, and it's going to be called Finding Your Inner Grit.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some guests on.
Yep.
It's obviously going to lead off with your story and
Yeah.
how you found yours.
Yeah.
But we're also going to bring some pretty interesting guests on during this month.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about some different ways that people have found their grit, their inner grit, their inner drive to be a man of value and conviction.
Yeah. Or a woman of value.
Or what?
Or a woman of value.
Yeah, we do preach man this and manly that
Yeah.
a lot, but this applies to every person.
Sure.
But yeah, we're going to be bringing some interesting people on, and people with some backgrounds that you might not necessarily think that they could have been through anything.
Yeah.
With that kind of background. But
Yeah.
they're gonna maybe change your mind a little bit on that.
I think so. I'm off the top of my head, I'm thinking of a couple that might just be what we call sleepers.
Sleepers, yeah.
Be easily overlooked. You think, now, what's he have to contribute, or what's this
Right.
person have to contribute? In the way of displaying some kind of example of having that inner toughness, that
Yeah.
grit, as you said. I think they're going to be surprised with that.
Yeah,
Some
I
of
think
the
so
guests we
too.
have on.
Hey, we got some good sleepers coming.
Yeah, we got some
Yeah.
good sleepers. Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in this week. I just wanted to say, uh, we really do enjoy doing this,
Yep.
and it's something we look forward to every week, getting together and doing this. And we really do appreciate all the support that we get from all of you guys. We're just two guys starting up another podcast,
Yeah.
It's just another podcast out there out of, thousands that you can listen to. And we're just appreciative that you guys choose us or make us one of your choices. If you are one of the few listening to us already, we just thank you for that support. And hopefully you guys can mention it to someone else and help us grow, because we're not giving up at all on
No.
this. It's not something that we plan to start and then get discouraged about and quit.
Right.
This is something that we want to do long term, and we're hoping you guys will be here with us for the ride.
Absolutely. I do appreciate the opportunity, and that we're able to make this happen. But really, I'm not here doing this to benefit myself. You're not here. I mean, it's
Mike
really
drives from Wichita, Kansas, from Salina each time,
yeah,
by the way, guys. So
yeah. And I mean, it's a good time to get to hang out with Justin. But I think we have something to offer people if they'll just pay attention. There's something that people can get, and that's really what I want to do. I want people to benefit from my life experience, Justin's life experience. Anybody we have on here, they all have something to share.
yeah,
And it may not be like super exciting James Bond movie type, action packed, but
you must have just recently watched James Bond or something. That's the
I
second
think I saw a
reference you
picture of
made.
him or something somewhere, or the guy that plays James Bond. But a powerful, strong rope is woven together by a tiny thousand threads of hair. So it doesn't need to be something earth shattering that to take away from what someone says or their life experience. If something is said on here and it makes a positive impact in someone's life that they heard it, man, that's it right there. That's the goal.
Yep.
Obviously we want that to happen a lot and to a lot of people, but
But even if it's one a week,
if it's one a week,
that
I
makes a
just want
difference.
somebody to benefit from it.
Yeah.
I want my experience to matter and to benefit other people. I'm still going to be out enjoying life regardless, but it'd be great if people can benefit too.
Yeah. And maybe we can talk a little bit about, I know we're kind of getting short on time, but maybe next week, if we have a little bit of time towards the end, we can talk more about kind of what we're wanting to do as far as like helping others in other ways outside of the podcast.
Yeah, we might be able to talk about that. Sure.
So, because we both do have a passion for helping people.
Yeah.
And we've been talking for many years, actually, since quite a few years back, we've been talking about a way to help people that are struggling in their life cycle transitions and stuff like that. So we got stuff in the works for that. And
we do.
There's a lot of big things that I'm excited about that are coming up for you and I, and really just for life in general.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty exciting, and I hope you guys stick with us for the ride.
I hope so too. I hope so too.